Sometimes you just can't tell if you're lucky or unlucky. It was a Saturday morning. I had backed out of my driveway and was just heading to the mega mall to buy some parts to fix the tub in our bathroom when I realized I had a flat tire, and I'd only gone about 30 meters, no more. I had to get out of the car and go home to get a hydraulic jack. On the way to the kitchen, I heard Dora talking to someone on the phone. "Don't worry, he won't be a problem." The jingling of my keys on the counter let her know I was back. In a muffled voice, hurriedly, "I gotta go." 3x Soji into the kitchen, and I see her turn around, smiling as if nothing had happened. "Hey, honey, you turned around fast." "Got a flat tire?" I mumbled. "Oh, that sucks. Do you need help with that?" "No, I can handle it." It was time to figure out what it all meant. While I changed the tires, I thought about the background, deciding to remember everything Dora had done and said lately, to see if I could find any clues or warning signs. The first thing that struck me as odd happened the night before. When I got home, Dora complained to me that the bathroom drain in our toilet was nearly clogged again. It wasn't the happiest of information, but why would it even matter at 6 o'clock in the evening? We live in an old house and use the bathtub as a shower as well. Okay, wait. That means she showered before I got here. Well, you don't need to read too many stories to put 2 plus 2 together and figure out what that means. So, after changing the tires, I went upstairs to wash my hands. I checked the laundry basket once and found a wet bath towel left over from last night and Dora's panties, still damp from hand washing. My name is Matt. I've been married to Dora for 4 years. We knew each other in high school but hadn't dated at the time. Then one day, after college, we saw each other again, and everything seemed to fall into place. We had an active and healthy sex life before we got married, and it hadn't slowed down much until recently. Come to think of it, the first red flag was when our friends, Jim and Diane, got divorced. I was totally on Jim's side for all the crap he put Diane through during the divorce. Dora, on the other hand, couldn't understand how someone as mild-mannered as me could support such cruel, in her opinion, treatment of a cheating wife. I remembered her clucking, justifying her friend Diana's behavior with the words, maybe it was just sex, and that this little mistake should not lead to such draconian measures. "Look at it this way, Dora," I said to my wife. "Fidelity is like pregnancy. You're either pregnant or you're not. There's no gray area. There are only 2 numbers on the fidelity scale, either 100% or 0. In retrospect, Dora's reaction at the time spoke volumes to me. We recently bought this old fixer-upper. Until major improvements are made, the place won't sell to anyone unless someone else wants to clean it up. I'm generally pretty handy with tools. The only problem is finding enough time to do it all. Now, in light of my recent discoveries, I didn't want to go to the bathroom, but instead I just needed to clear my head and collect my thoughts. I went outside to do some yard work. My indignant mind was seething with anger, but I didn't know what else to do to get more information. Dora was out in the yard, too, crouching nearby, tending to her rose bushes. I had already started pruning the trees when suddenly I heard a shrill screech. Dora was stumbling, trying to get up and screaming panikedly, "3 me yeah." I smiled. Dora was deathly afraid of snakes. As for me, I find snakes funny, living ropes with eyes and a split tongue. When I got close to her bushes, I saw a pencil-thin garden snake, about 30 centimeters long on the ground. "Kill it! Kill it!" Dora shouted from a safe distance. I lied. "I don't see anyone. Are you sure?" "Hell yes, it was huge. Look closely." While Dora was looking out the door, I picked up a half-meter-long twig from the ground and threw it in her direction. "Is that her?" A deafening shriek and the sound of the door slamming shut was all I heard. Dora had locked all the doors leading into the house, so I had to apologize for throwing the snake at her for a long time before I was allowed in. "I need to lie down," she moaned. "You know I hate snakes. It wasn't funny at all to throw it at me." As soon as Dora went upstairs, I turned on her cell phone and wrote down the phone numbers she'd called recently. 3 Aundo. I checked her recent travel history on online maps to see what routes she'd made inquiries on. Yesterday, for example, at 2:30 p.m., Dora visited a coffee bar. Putting the puzzle together wasn't that hard. Too many calls to Jacob Sater, her co-worker, for it to be a coincidence. There weren't too many people in our fair city with a name like that, and one of them, I'm guessing, is this fruit that lives about 4 miles from our house. Well, I decided to go for a drive and have a look around. Turns out the coffee bar is almost right next to the motel. Bam! One down, one to go. I carefully parked a few houses away from Jacob's house and watched him. There were a couple of kids playing in the front yard, and a pretty lady would occasionally peek out the window and chat with them. I assumed that the man who soon came out of the house was Jacob. A minute later, he got into a car parked at the house and drove away. I emerged from my ambush, folder in hand, and knocked on the front door. "Yes, can I help you?" The pretty lady owner had a nice voice, too. "Yes, ma'am, I'm updating the census information. Are you Mrs. Sater?" I asked in a businesslike manner. "Yes, I am." I opened the folder and made a note in my papers. "I'm sorry, I don't have your name. You have 2 children, don't you? How old are they?" "My name is Julie. My children are 5 and 7, she replied. Nodding and deep in thought, I scribbled some more. "And you're still married to Jacob Sater?" "Yes," she answered easily. Julie confirmed that Jacob was a manager at the same firm where I knew Dora worked. "Well, thank you. That's all I needed. Have a good day." I smiled as I slammed my folder shut and left the Sater's house. Julie, like me until recently, was apparently completely unaware of what her asshole husband and my whore wife were up to. By this time next week, things would be very different. I rejected Dora's attempts at sex on various pretexts, and she didn't seem to mind my lack of interest. At the same time, I tried to keep to my routine as much as I could. I had to use a disposable telephone to prepare my plan. I wanted to be absolutely sure that what I had so far only suspected had really happened. It would be more than embarrassing to burn the earth on the basis of erroneous assumptions. On Friday, I took the day off and followed Dora to her work. Setting myself up for a long wait, I spent the morning reading erotic stories about cheating wives on my cell phone. For some strange reason, stories in this genre have become my favorite at the moment. Around 2:30 p.m., Dora walked down to her car and pulled out of the parking lot. Following her, I kept a decent distance, almost certain that the road would soon lead us both to a familiar coffee bar. And indeed, after parking the parrot, Dora headed straight for the motel stairs. I parked my car so I had a view of those stairs. A minute later, Jacob joined Dora, and the two of them went up to the second floor, where Jacob opened the room with his key. Now I saw everything I needed to see. I dialed my friend Alex's number, letting him know I was headed his way, and then started the engine and drove off. When I got home, Dora was surprised to find me there, sprawled out on the couch watching TV. I had no doubt she'd want to shower as soon as possible. "Matt, what are you doing home so early?" Lingering in the living room aisle, she asked a little worriedly. "I had some urgent business to attend to, so I took the afternoon off. I see you took the afternoon off too, didn't you?" As if nothing had happened, I asked her a counter-question in a steady voice. I wondered what she'd come up with as an excuse. "I spilled a drink on myself, so I decided to go home and take a shower. I'll be down soon, and let's go out for steak." Wow, Dora showed impressive agility and quick thinking in an unexpected situation. Wow. I, unlike her, could barely contain myself. While I waited for Dora, I had removed the regular doorknob from the bathroom door and replaced it with one that could only be opened from the bedroom side. The door opened from the bedroom to the bathroom, and now, once inside, Dora would be stuck. In the bathroom itself, we had no window, only air conditioning. The door, however, like all the other doors in the old house, was a rather heavy wooden door. After a while, I tiptoed up the stairs and heard the bathroom door click shut. I pulled its handle from the outside to make sure it was locked. A few seconds later, there was a hysterical shriek. Dora was pounding on the door, but the pounding wasn't as loud as her panicked screams. I turned on the radio next to the bed and turned up the volume to drown out the screams. You see, I had borrowed 2 very large snakes, yellow anacondas, from my herpetologist friend Alex. They were each about 2.5 meters long and about the girth of my hand. They were too big to slip under the door, so I put them in the tub and pulled back the curtain. Anacondas aren't poisonous, but when they get really hungry, they can attack. Alex feeds them well, so it'll be a few weeks before they're any more dangerous. "Matt, let me out, Matt, please let me out." The screams from the bathroom continued. "Maybe Jacob can help you. What's his number?" I went to the door and asked loudly, "Oh, oh God, I'm sorry, Matt. It was just sex. I love you. Please let me out." Followed by a squeal and a new round of screaming. Maybe the snakes were getting a little friendlier to Dora. Then I heard a terrible crashing sound. "Matt, fuck you. Open the door." "Honey, it's just snakes," I said reassuringly from behind the door. "But be careful. They're attracted to human fluids," I said in a slightly concerned tone of voice at the nonsense I'd just made up. "Oh, no, no." And then more rumbling noises. I think she's throwing whatever she can get her hands on at the scary, rustling snakes. "Honey, try not to fall asleep in there because that's when they eat and reproduce." I continued to spout nonsense. I heard sobbing from inside. "Matt, open the door. I'm sorry. Open the fucking door." "Calm down, honey. You better turn off the lights." Just in case, I added a few freshly invented facts. "They get aggressive in bright light. I'll come check on you in a few hours." For the next few hours, amidst the hysterical sobbing, the rumbling sounds of something crashing were heard now and then. Then suddenly there was a loud thud. Dora must have fallen off the toilet or sink, for her screaming voice changed radically, ringing with panic and ultrasonic terror. "Matt, help me! Help me! Get off me! Get off me! Dora, just try not to frighten them," I cut in as she drew in air for another scream. "Otherwise they'll panic and try to crawl into the dark, warm, and damp holes." I spouted some more nonsense. All this noise and rumbling made it too disturbing to sleep in the bedroom, so I moved to the living room and slept on the couch. In the morning, after brewing a cup of coffee, I climbed the stairs to see what the forecast was for today. "How are you doing, darling?" I asked through the locked door and listened. I couldn't hear the old bedlam, only grunts and whimpers from inside. Perhaps it was the lack of adequate sleep. I'd have to stop by again at lunchtime and check it out. I spent the morning going through my email and looking at new car offers. Then Dora's friend showed up on the doorstep, picking her up to go somewhere together. "Hadn't she called you?" I wondered. "I'm sorry about that. She didn't sleep well last night, and she's not feeling well at all. She's been acting kind of weird." "I'll tell her you stopped by." Every once in a while I'd hear rumbling and screaming. She must have gotten a little hungry by now, too. "Did you finish your shower in there yet?" I knocked on the bathroom door. "I'm going out for a while to enjoy a nice juicy steak. Bring anything back from there for you?" In a very weak voice. "Please open the door. Please. I don't have the energy to apologize anymore. What do you want? Well, please open the door." "Watch them closely. When they intertwine, it's a sign that they are getting aroused. You better not be near them if that happens," I warned her as another idea popped into my head. "Open the door, damn it!" An anguished ultrasonic shriek threw me off the tub, followed by more hysterical sobbing and screaming. I had more things to do today that were waiting to be done. The lawn needed mowing, by the way. I paced vigorously in front of the house as I tackled this important and necessary process. Then I watched television all day. After the broadcast of the golf tournament ended, I checked back in to see how the celebration of love and oneness with the fauna world was going. I knocked on the door, hammering Morse code on the wood. "How are you and your lovers doing, dear?" "Her. They're on me. Get away, help me." Apparently Dora had dozed off after all, and her yellow lovers took their chance and snuggled up to her, wrapping their temporary housemate in their loving embrace. "I will leave you and your lovers alone. I'll be back in the morning to wish you sweet dreams, dear." "Matt, open this door now." What a bossy little thing. Well, I guess I'll leave it in timeout for a while longer. The crying and screaming continued at random times throughout the night. I slept in the distance again, on the now familiar living room couch. With my steaming morning coffee in my hand, I climbed the stairs again and put my ear close to the wood paneling. Not a sound could be heard from inside. Maybe she had managed to get some rest after all. I cautiously opened the door. Dora lay passed out, wedged between the wall and the toilet. The bathroom was chaotic and a complete mess. I put the two snakes into the canvas bags Alex had provided me. It only took a few minutes to put the regular doorknob back on. I used my phone to take a video of a ragged Dora sleeping in the toilet bowl's embrace and document the damage she had done during her confinement. I then called 911 and informed them that my wife had lost her mind. I had thoughtfully stashed the canvas bags of anacondas in the trunk of my car. When the patrol car arrived, I told them how Dora had first locked herself in the bathroom and then started trashing it. I didn't know if she was stoned or abusing drugs, but she was screaming something unintelligible and raving about the snakes around her. Yes, she was acting completely paranoid, like she was crazy. Of course, I agree with you officers. She definitely needs some psychiatric help, and I'm willing to sign all the necessary paperwork for my wife to get it. When they tried to move Dora out of the way, she started kicking and screaming, "Snakes! Get away from me!" and swung her arms wildly at the cops. It took the efforts of 2 burly officers to subdue her. As they took a collapsed Dora outside, they informed me that they would be taking her to the hospital for further observation. Before leaving, the cops took pictures of the upside-down bathroom, checked the lock on the door, jerked the knob back and forth, and searched for snakes without success. On the way to the hospital, I stopped by Alex's house. Both snakes, in my opinion, were not hurt in the slightest and seemed even quite squirmy after their adventures. I promised to treat Alex to a big steak for dinner. I think I deserved at least an Oscar nomination for supporting actor for my performance in the hospital. I couldn't have gotten more sympathy from the nurses and doctors. They assured me that my wife's case, although unusual, happens several times a year. I peered through the window inside the room and saw that the orderlies had Dora securely encased in a straitjacket. The sedatives should help her regain her composure over time. The doctors have convinced me to agree to keep her in observation for at least a week. I don't think it'll reflect well on her resume. The report that came back a week later wasn't too encouraging for Dora. Every time someone or something near her moved, she pounced on it and screamed. The patient also kept ranting about how I had locked her in a bathtub with snakes to punish her for her cheating. Her cheating? How? She's having an affair? I continued, to the best of my ability, to play my best husband-caught-off-guard role. With someone she works with named Jacob, they told me. Shit, I need to sit down. I don't feel so good. So you think it's guilt that's got her off the rails? The brain is a very complex thing. It's hard to say what caused her to snap. They sympathetically handed me a glass of water. There were no snakes in there, so what's going to happen to her now? I asked her attending doctor. We have drawn up the necessary paperwork to keep your wife under observation for another 2 weeks, he replied. I called my lawyer and asked him to start divorce proceedings. He, in turn, has contacted Dora and Jacob's employer and is working on a settlement agreement. Jacob is a manager at their company and Dora is not, so they didn't have to mix their bodily fluids in the most outrageous way. While Dora is being treated for her nervous breakdown, she can't be served with divorce papers. No problem. They'll be waiting for her when the medical examiners do release Dora. She'll also have to find another job. I hear Julie has also declared it's hunting season on Jacob's former employer. By the way, Jacob, as I just found out, also went into the same hospital for a little while. Turns out he was bitten by a poisonous snake he found in his car. They had to amputate a few extra fingers. I bought a poster like this and put it up in my office. A snake may shed its skin, but it's still a snake. Remember that before you let certain people into your life.